Hi there, my name is Daniel, and I wanted to show you quickly how recipe cost calculator works. I'm the guy behind it that is building it. So the first thing that you're going to do when you after you sign up for an account is you're going to log in, and after you log in, you are going to see a sort of a dashboard. And the way that recipe cost calculator works is in sort of a series of building blocks. The three building blocks are ingredients, recipes, and recipe groups. In general, you're going to want to create things in that order. First, you're going to create your ingredients, which includes the pricing, the size and the quantity that you purchase in, and the size and the quantity that you use your ingredients as. I'll give you an example of that in a second. After you create your ingredients, you're going to create your recipes. So a recipe is a group of ingredients that you sort of group together using specific quantities of those ingredients, and then you can quickly and easily see what your most expensive ingredients are, what your cost per unit is in a given batch of anything that you're making, and it gives you a little bit of insight into where your costs are. After that, we have recipe groups. Now, what a recipe group is a collection of two or more recipes that you bundle together in case there's dishes or items or baked goods or whatever that you create where you need to use 2 or 3 or 4 recipes together in order to create the final product. The example that I'll show you later is really simple. It'll be an ice cream sandwich. What we're going to do is we're going to enter a recipe for chocolate chip cookies, and then we're going to enter a really simple recipe for ice cream sandwich filling. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a recipe group called ice cream sandwiches, and I'll show you how all of that is going to work in a second. So our first step is going to be to add ingredients. So we can click here or we can click here. We just try to give you, whatever options you want that make sense for you. You're going to start off with no ingredients, which makes sense. And just click New Ingredient, and I want to explain this form quickly just so everyone understands it. Flour is going to be the name of our ingredient. Purchase quantity, when we buy flour, we buy it in a bag. Maybe it's 10 kilograms or 20 kilograms, so we can just enter something like that here, and the purchase unit is kilograms. You can use whatever you want here. For example, if you use eggs and you just want to say units, or if you buy vanilla beans and you want to say bean, this is up to you to use. I tend to try to be descriptive with like kilograms, grams, cups, milliliters, pounds, but use what you like. When I use flour in a recipe, we use grams. We weigh all of our ingredients. So how you buy an ingredient, how it's labeled, isn't necessarily how you use that ingredient. So when we use the ingredient in our recipes, we actually have 10,000 grams. So this is going to be helpful for this is helpful to identify what you've bought in case maybe you have different types of flour. Maybe you want to say that you bought flour from supplier 1 and supplier 2, and you can label them differently. That's totally up to you how you'd like to use it. Let's just say that we've paid $7.99 for this ingredient. So then you have your first ingredient. I don't want to enter all of these ingredients all at once, so I'm just going to log out and I'm going to log into a different account to show you where I already have some other ingredients added, just so we can how we're going to do this. So at the dashboard now, this account, I've added 11 ingredients, so we can add more ingredients, or we can just go and we can view the ingredients that we have. So these are the ingredients that I've added. These are all ingredients that we need to make chocolate chip cookies and an ice cream sandwich filling. Sometimes when you have a lot of ingredients, maybe you have 100 or 200, it's hard to find them in a list. I wanted to try to make it easy for you to quickly see and edit the pricing of your ingredients. So you can just start typing the name of any ingredient here, and quickly it will filter only the ingredients that match what you've typed. So you can do that. So our next step is going to be to create a recipe. So right now we don't have any recipes, and so we're going to create a recipe for chocolate chip cookies. This is just a simple example. I don't actually know what the yield for this recipe is. I'm just going to make it up. Let's say that it makes 36 cookies. Again, the yield units, you can type whatever you want here. If you make, I don't know, steaks, ribs, salads, cookies, cakes, crumpets, croissants, this is just to help you identify later on what it is that this recipe is yielding. Now once you are creating a recipe, you obviously have to add ingredients, and we wanted to try to make this as easy as possible. So the way this works is you do it all on one form without having to click all over the place. So we're going to add all of the ingredients right here on this form. So the first thing I know I need is butter. So I'm going to start to type butter, and it's going to show me any ingredients that I've already added that match what I've typed here. So I'm going to add butter to the recipe. So I'm also going to add flour. So add flour, salt. I'm going to add salt. I'm going to add baking soda, add chocolate, I'm going to add vanilla, and I don't want vanilla ice cream in the cookie recipe, I want vanilla extract, and I'm going to add sugar. And you can see I've got both types of sugar here as I start to type them up, and I need both of them, so I'm just going to click add on both of them. I think that's all my ingredients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and eggs. Eggs. Perfect. So what you can see here is that for all of the ingredients, you automatically pulls up the units that you've entered along with your ingredients, so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. So we want, in this recipe, we want 250 grams of butter, we want 400 grams of flour, we want 5 grams of salt, and we want 5 grams of baking soda, we want 400 grams of chocolate chips, we want 15 milliliters of vanilla extract, and brown sugar, we want 225 grams sugar, 200 grams eggs, we want 2 eggs. So that is going to be everything that we want, and so I'm going to say now create recipe. So this is the page that you get immediately after you create your recipe. This already gives you a ton of insight into how your recipes work and how much they cost you. You can see right away the total recipe cost is $5.70. Your cost per unit, that's per cookie in this case, is just under 16 cents. Your ingredient cost breakdown is here. You can see that butter is the most expensive percentage-wise in terms of your ingredient cost, followed by chocolate, as well as a breakdown of the specific ingredient cost for every ingredient. If you click on the table headers, you can sort them by whatever you want. So if you want to sort them by the cost percentage or cost or ingredient name, you're welcome to do that. The other nice thing that we have down here is we actually create a chart for you, so you can quickly and easily see exactly what your ingredient costs are and sort of what it looks like, so you can quickly visualize how that works. Quickly, we're going to make another recipe, and we're just going to call this ice cream sandwich filling. And this is going to yield also 36 cookies filled. And our ingredients, once again, just going to add vanilla ice cream and caramel sauce. This one I'm just totally making up. So we're going to say that we're going to use the whole 2 liters of ice cream, and in 36, let's call it, we're going to use 400 milliliters of caramel sauce. So we're going to create that recipe. So this is a simple recipe of the ice cream sandwich filling that we're going to use to fill our ice cream sandwiches. So if you click on recipes, you can see now that we have 2 different recipes. Now what we're going to do is quickly go to recipe groups. We don't have any of them yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to say create a recipe group, and we're going to call them ice cream sandwiches. This is going to yield 36 ice cream sandwiches. And now we're going to do the same thing that we did here, except instead of searching for ingredients, we're going to search for recipes. So our first recipe that we're going to search for is the chocolate chip cookies. And the second thing we're going to search for is the filling. Now, depending on how you cook or bake, sometimes maybe you need to create multiple versions of one recipe to match only one of another recipe. So for example, let's say I'll use an example for us. We make French macaroons, and we have the recipe for the shells, and when we fill with salted caramel, we need to actually create our caramel recipe 4 times for every 1 time that we create a shell recipe, and that's because we do our caramel in small batches. So in that case, I would need to have 1 of the macaroon shell recipes, and I would need to have 4 of our salted caramel recipes. You can use this any way that you want. For us, I'm just going to say we need 1 chocolate chip cookie recipe and 1 ice cream sandwich filling recipe, and create the recipe group. So now what we do is we have the same thing that we had for the recipe breakdown, except it's just grouping more than 1 recipe together. So this is going to tell you that in an ice cream sandwich, most of the ingredient cost is the filling, and there's a little bit less cost involved in the chocolate chip cookies. And the other thing that this does is it takes all of the ingredients from all of the recipes, and it breaks it all down into a nice chart for you, so you can really visualize quickly how much these items are costing you, and figure out ways in which you can either lower your ingredient costs, or at least just get insight into where your costs are and how much things are costing you. So this is going to tell us too the cost for a full complete ice cream sandwich is now 38.6 cents per unit. So that's a quick overview of how Recipe Cost Calculator works. I hope that you find it useful, and if you have any questions, just email me at daniel@recipecostcalculator.net.